and welcome to another edition of Stand Ready webinar series. Today we're going to talk about maximizing your bottom line and production with online analysis. Today's guest is Lance Witt. Lance has over 25 years in the hydrocarbon industry and brings a unique perspective as the regional sales manager. He is a wealth of industry knowledge and has authored and presented for ASGMT, ISHM, AFMSC, and gas well deliquification workshops. He is also a technical expert with 3 patents on chemical optimization and is an active member of AMP, formerly known as NACE. Welcome, Lance, to our webinar today. So to get started, what are some of the reasons to have online analysis of hydrocarbon systems?
Well, I would say the most common, particularly when it's pertaining to custody transfer, is that this is part of the cash register. It's natural gas is sold based on volume and quality and quantity, so it's an MMBTU. And it may also be a quality check, which a lot of folks have to do quality checks. Certain contaminants like oxygen, hydrogen sulfide, moisture, CO2. We need to detect those and then correct the process accordingly. And it may be emissions monitoring. You know, what are we putting up into the air, which is a government situation.
So it sounds like there's a lot of risk involved. What are some of the major challenges that people have when they are utilizing online analysis?
Well, a lot of folks have heartburn immediately over the cost of an installation, over, say, a spot sample or a sample bottle. The analyzers themselves are quite expensive, and then the installation is even more on top of that. Then you have the cost of maintenance and the personnel qualified to do the maintenance, reliable power source, particularly in Texas right now, and reliable clean sample source, so you don't have create maintenance problems.
So those are the cons, I guess. What are the pros that help balance out that that heartburn? So essentially, what is online analysis doing to be a positive?
Well, it's a lot of times it's quick results, correct? So it's a real-time reading of what's going on in the process, and you can't afford not to have that in a lot of applications. You're eliminating the opportunity for pulling a bad sample if you have to transport it to a laboratory, or dealing with DOT because you're transporting flammable, combustible, high pressure products across state and city highways. Um, and you know, it's mandated. It's a cash register. You don't have any other option if there's large volume of product being sold or purchased.
So is all sample conditioning the same regardless of the process being sampled, or do they need to have different items for different things?
It is not all the same. We need to know what's the purpose of the analysis. Are we looking for a particular contaminant? Can our sample conditioning system affect locating that particular contaminant? Are we looking for water and crude oil, for instance? That's going to be on the bottom of the line. You don't typically do an analysis on that, but you could do a water cut. Are we looking for H2S? So we would handle that differently. We wouldn't want some kind of collection device collecting free liquids and then trying to locate hydrogen sulfide, which would absorb into the liquids. So yes, it would definitely matter which method.
So what does the risk of improper sample conditioning, like what problems is it going to create? What's the effect on their processes?
Oh, they're numerous. Let's say we're looking for a BTU in natural gas. There's not an analyzer out there that'll take pipeline pressure. So we have to reduce the pressure to introduce it to an analyzer. That right there creates the first problem, because for every 100 pounds per square inch of pressure we reduce at 7 degrees, that we're lowering the temperature. So we could basically create a cryogenic facility that could strip out heavier components in the natural gas. On the other side of that, we could have a lot of free liquids, particularly water, that we cannot introduce into an analyzer. The way we dispose of that water or prevent the water from entering the sample system could affect the absorption of the hydrogen sulfide, like I mentioned earlier, or CO2. We could also have a situation where we're too close to methanol injection or too close to scavenger injections, and those end up in our sample system and actually scavenge out or reduce or remove the hydrogen sulfide we're looking for. So location is imperative as well, where we're going to pull the sample.
Yep. I know that you and our other expert in the upstream and midstream space, Brian Stockberger, always promote location, location, location.
Exactly. Which a lot of times that's not an option because of the small real estate we're dealing with.
So, what is required for an accurate and reliable online analytical system? Like bare minimum.
First and foremost, material of construction. We need to make sure everything's constructed where it's not going to create corrosion and add problems to the analyzer itself. The technology, what type of technology are we going to use for our analysis? There are technologies out there that can have cross-contamination, give false readings based on the conditions in the process. So we need to know that. Reliable power source, I can't overstate that. If you don't have power, you're dead in the water. Then do we need to heat trace? Is there a chance we're going to create clogging? Are there particulates in the system? Is this a production site or is it a midstream site? All that needs to factor in. And then we want to make sure we can locate the analyzer close to the sample source. We don't want to be sampling yesterday's gas because we're traveling 3 miles to introduce it to the analyzer. That's a joke, of course, but you see some crazy stuff out there.
I mean, when the pipeline shut down, people were putting gas in Tupperware containers. So all things are possible.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much. This was very informative. If anyone has any further questions, I'm going to put some of Lance's contact information in the description below, and be on the lookout for future videos or information about this topic, because it seems like it's a very extensive topic, and we want to make sure that we have our information together for our consumers. So thank you so much, Lance, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, Miss Kate. Enjoyed it.